Why on earth are you still listening to Paul Finebaum? Let's talk about it. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Way Offsides, your favorite Bama sport. We do everything everybody else does, a little bit different. Way Offsides for a there's not enough 5 2 minutes for right. Just like in the word Alabama. Now, for those of you who are watching the show for day one, you know that I have a hate-filled relationship with Paul Finebaum. It's a one-sided relationship. He doesn't even know he's in it. But that's okay because I absolutely loathe Paul Finebaum. I'm going to tell you why. We'll start there. That's a great place to start. Before we get there, also, he made a wacky prediction. He's wrong. We're going to talk about that. So make sure you stick around through the whole video. You're going to want to hear why he's wrong and who I've predicted instead of Finebaum. Anyway, please do us a favor while you're here. Like, subscribe. You can find us on all social medias at Way Offsides. Obviously, we're right in the middle of recruiting season. There's a lot of official visits going on. We've got all the news that you need. So make sure you're liked, you're subscribed, you're commenting on videos. Most importantly, hit the notification bell and you won't miss a thing. Now, let's talk about Mr. Paul Finebaum. As you can see here, I worked really hard on this graphic. Mr. Paul Finebaum has made a name for himself in the Southeast, really across the nation. But the foundational cornerstone of what he's built has been off the backs of the Southeastern Conference, not just the Southeastern Conference, mostly off of Alabama football. Now, here's where my problem lies. The state of Alabama gets a very bad rap nationally. I don't live in Alabama anymore. I took a job somewhere else. And anytime I tell people here, and I'm still in the South, but anytime I tell people here I'm from Alabama, there's a lot of assumptions made there that we're stupid. We're all inbred. We're all, are undereducated and all these things. And Finebaum has perpetuated a lot of these stereotypes. Not only has he perpetuated them, he has built an empire off of Alabama fans. Now, Bama fans are very passionate about college football, and that's exactly how he plays his business model off. Is they're just very passionate people and blah blah blah. Well, he's made a living making us look like idiots, not just on a radio show in Birmingham. Now, this is a nationwide thing on the SEC network, which is owned by ESPN. And Finebaum continues to build this empire off the backs of hardworking people who care about football, but he lets them call in because they say things that make them sound uneducated, that make them sound inbred, that make them sound stupid. The whole Harvey Updike thing. Like, Alabama doesn't need any help. The rest of the country looks at us that way. It unapologetically too, in a lot of cases. And I have a problem with perpetuating that stereotype. We talk about stereotypes and how they're bad in every other demographic, but not Southerners, especially in the state of Alabama. And it doesn't sit well with me. It feels phony. It feels like he is, especially the people that he call into his shows. He's tapped in, man. And that it's almost cultish. They follow him and what he says as it's the gospel truth. And that's another side of this thing. Finebaum's never played a snap of football, as far as I know. Maybe he played Pop Warner. I don't know. But at the college level, he definitely hasn't. You've seen the guy. So why do we care so much about his opinion? Is it because he's knowledgeable about the sport and the X's and O's and how it works? Or is it because he's just says the loudest, most egregious things to try and generate interest, right? So if the latter is the case, where's the integrity in what he has to say? There is none. And some of my favorite moments are when coaches, specifically Lane Kiffin, get on live TV with him and call him out for the stupid stuff he said. And he doesn't have a rebut. because he knows it's stupid, because he knows he's saying whatever he can, because a lot of people who sit at home all day are going to get pissed off at what he says, and they're going to call into his show. They're going to retweet him. They're going to make videos like I'm doing right now. I'm falling into the trap, falling into the rage bait, I guess, as they would say. But I just want to put it out there. Like, I absolutely can't stand Paul Finebaum, and I think he is terrible for the Southern man because he just perpetuates this stereotype that we're all dumb. Not only that, he profits from it. He's the Jerry Springer of sports talk. And a lot of people watch it and listen to it because they're like, oh, listen to this guy. He's a train wreck. Listen to this. Well, you're getting roped into that group of people nationally. So first part of the video is I just don't understand people's allure with Paul Finebaum, why they listen. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, that is fine. That's okay. I'm not judging you. You do you, boo. If you do agree with me, I highly encourage you, don't engage with him on social media because it is kind of disgusting to me. It really is. If you take the model that he's built and you apply it to any other demographic, it's racist. It's some kind of phobic. Just saying, in today's world. Any other demographic. If you had a show where women called in complaining about their spouses nonstop and this and that, think about it. I mean, anyway, I'm digressing a little bit here because I'm getting worked up. Like I said, the rage bait is working. Finebaum! Can't stand you. I have a standing challenge to Paul Finebaum to a boxing match. He's yet to accept. Most likely because he has no idea who I am. That's fine. But in my mind, I choose to believe it's because he's terrified of me. But I think Finebaum he's good at generating shock and awe in what he says, because he does just say the most egregious thing. But the minute somebody of prominence, somebody of circumstance calls him out on it, Lane Kiffin's a great example, he turns into a baffling, bumbling buffoon. There's some alliteration for you. And I just don't have any respect for him. Therefore, when he gives me a take on college football, I don't have a lot of respect for that either, and I don't put any weight into it. First of all, because I'm pretty sure he's never played the game. Secondly, because he's only saying what he's saying with strategic intent. It's got nothing to do with what his actual belief is about who's the best team, who's this, who's that. It's got to do with his ability to generate some kind of reaction from his audience. And I feel like that's just, I feel like, again, there's no integrity in that. I feel like it is manipulative, and people in the state of Alabama, as well as all around the Southeast, just fall for it. And it's disgusting to me. But he made a prediction here recently. I think it was either today or yesterday. I don't know because I don't listen to him. But I just saw it pop up that Finebaum thinks that Texas is most likely to win the national championship. Now, if you've been paying attention, some odds have dropped. I think Alabama has like a 66% chance, according to whatever formulas out there, to make the college football playoff. Georgia, of course, has a really high percentage chance, and Texas does too. And on paper, Finebaum could be right. Let me start there. On paper, he could be 100% right. It could be Texas. But I fervently disagree. And I'm going to tell you why. Finebaum is just saying what seems obvious to him, right? And a lot of times in sports, we like to overcomplicate things, but a lot of times in sports, what we say and what we feel, what these journalists are doing or these analysts, they're just saying the most obvious thing. Great example is last year. Easily the two best teams in the SEC going into the season that were talked about were Texas and Georgia. Nick Saban got up in front of the entire country and said that he felt like Texas and Georgia would play for the SEC championship. What happened? Right. So, but I think he's wrong. And I'm going to tell you why. First and foremost, I'm not sold on Archie Manning. I think he's going to be a stellar quarterback. I think he's going to be probably a step up from Quinn Ewers. But I just don't necessarily buy it. I think Steve Sarkisian is a fantastic head coach. I think that he will always be in contention for a national championship, but I don't know that he'll actually ever win one. It's gotten much harder to win a natty than it ever has been in college football. And on top of that, he's in the toughest conference in the country. The teams that Texas has to consider when thinking about making it through this gauntlet to a playoff, making it through the playoff gauntlet, then to a national championship game to win it, it's absurd. It really is absurd when you think about it. It's what got them beat last year. You've got the most obvious team that Texas has faced that's given them trouble is Georgia last season. Played them several times and lost. We're going to come back to that. Alabama went down there 2 years ago and beat them, or 3 seasons ago, and beat them on their field. They come to Tuscaloosa and do the same thing with Jalen Milroe as quarterback. Alabama's not going to be the same offense with a new quarterback. They're going to be better. And then when you look at things like recruiting and these other benchmarks, you've got teams that are kind of on the up and up. Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, right? I think Texas has to go to the Swamp this year, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. Somebody tell me in the comments, but I think they have to go to the Swamp this year. That is not an easy trip. It doesn't matter what team you are, how good you are. Beating Florida in Florida, if you're not from Florida, is difficult because it's always 100 degrees with 100% humidity there. So there's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it, I think the team to beat in Texas's mind is going to be Georgia, right? And I know what everybody's saying about Georgia. Everybody's saying Georgia is going to take a step back this year, and they very well could. I think they could. Who's going to throw the ball to these receivers? Who's going to be the guy that leads the offense? Gunnar Stockton, right? Well, Gunnar Stockton's not a good quarterback. Well, he was good enough to beat Texas. Correct me if I'm wrong. He beat Texas, right? So what really changes in comparison to Georgia? Let's say that it's Georgia and Texas again. What really changes to think that Texas is going to get the leg up on the Dogs this year? What really changes to make you think that Texas is going to be able to beat Alabama if they play at some point this year? Arch Manning? Now, let's look at rosters. Texas has a very, very good roster. And maybe that's what Mr. Finebaum is basing this off of, the roster. Texas has a great roster. A lot of 5 stars and 4 stars everywhere. A lot of guys that played at other schools everywhere. But here's the thing. Texas recruited primarily using NIL, right? They were paying guys via NIL. We have seen this time and time again. FSU is a great example. They built a roster based solely off of NIL, and what happened? They sucked. Texas did the same, has been doing the same thing. And last year, sure, right? They got close, or maybe not close, but they got close for some other schools. But I don't think they were ever a real serious contender. They got run off the field by Georgia, that's Georgia's worst team they've had in a few years. I don't think they were a very serious contender. You see guys like Isaiah Bond constantly dropping the ball, this and that. What happens when you're paying guys? They're driving around in Lambos and this and that. The attention becomes me. It's really hard to buy into a team mentality when NIL is your primary recruiter. It can't be. You will not generate long-term success. Oregon's a great example. You will not generate long-term success with NIL being your primary recruiter. You can't. Now, you can do what Ohio State did last season, return a very talented roster and then supplement it with NIL. That works, obviously. But I don't think that Texas is going to be able to field a cohesive unit all the way around. Sure, they're going to beat up on cupcakes. They're going to beat up on mid-level SEC teams. But when it comes to the big boys, they're going to struggle. When they go on the road, they're going to struggle. I don't think Texas is going to be this elite giant that the media keeps trying to make them out to be since they've joined the SEC. Yes, they came to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama a couple of years ago. Let's not forget that Jalen Milroe handed them that game. There are two plays I can think of right now. Both of them were wheel route throws that if Milroe hits either one of those, same play that they ran against Georgia and Jam Miller scored on last season, if he hits both of those, Alabama still wins that game. It's close, but they still win. That doesn't mean that Texas is now the new powerhouse in the country. It doesn't. They've proved nothing. They beat Alabama. Barely. A bad Alabama offense, mind you. Barely. They almost beat Alabama at home the year before, 11 a.m. kickoff. Bryce Young is running from his life because that's one of Alabama's worst offensive lines of all time, and they barely could not get blown out by that team. I just don't see it. The coaching in the SEC across the board is way too good, and I don't think Texas is going to have long-term success because mainly because their primary recruiting tool is NIL. Tell me if you disagree with me. You probably do, and that's okay. That's what we do here. Just because you disagree with what I'm saying doesn't mean I don't like you. I hope you feel the same. So I will say that I think the favorite to win the national championship in 2025 is likely Texas right now. I think after a couple of games, that's going to shift. If what I am hearing is real and not just coach speak, Alabama's going to be right in the middle of it. Georgia will be right in the middle of it. Ohio State, they lost a lot, and this is going to be a rebuild year for them, but they have a pretty simple schedule, so they'll probably be right in the middle of it. Clemson is somebody to watch in 2025. I just don't see Texas running through the SEC gauntlet and then the playoff gauntlet too and winning a national title. I don't think that they have the coaching to do it. And I think that happened to them last year. It caught up with them. Who are the coaches that could do it in the SEC? Really, I think there's two. I think it's Kirby Smart and Kalen DeBoer. Thanks for sticking around through the whole video. If you're still here, please consider liking, subscribing, hitting the notification bell. If you're watching this on YouTube, or on Twitter, anywhere else, Instagram, please feel free to repost. We're trying to grow our Instagram, so that would be fantastic. We thank you for your help. Thank you again for sticking around. We love each and every one of you. You guys are the best. You're the freaking best. I mean it. Pat yourself on the back. You're the best. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Horns down. Little extra emphasis. Screw Paul Finebaum. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.